Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about the future, specifically the future of how we all shop, eat, and live. And to do that, we're going to look into a kind of crystal ball by examining China, a country that's already living in the new normal, and can show us which of our pandemic habits are just temporary and which ones are truly here to stay. You know, it's the question we've all been wrestling with, right? The pandemic changed literally everything. We learned to bake sourdough, our living rooms became our offices, and we shopped online for, well, everything. But as the world opens back up, what does that new normal really look like? Which of these changes are going to stick around for good? Well, to get a sneak peek at that future, we're looking to China. Their experience gives us a preview of the lasting shifts we can probably expect to see everywhere. They've moved on from the pandemic, but, and this is the most important part, they haven't just snapped back to the way things were before. Okay, so here's the game plan for our explainer today. We'll start with why China is such a great preview. Then we'll dive into 5 huge shifts in how people are behaving. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with what it means for you. Let's get into it. First up, to really get why this moment is so important, we need to look back a little bit. You see, pandemics don't just interrupt life. They have a way of permanently redirecting it. They hit the reset button on society. And check this out, because this really puts the scale of change into perspective. Back in 2003, the SARS epidemic was a massive catalyst in China. It basically gave birth to mass e-commerce, launching giants like Alibaba. It created a whole new way to shop. But COVID-19, that was on another level entirely. It didn't just create a new industry. It fundamentally rewired the habits of daily life itself. It created a new way to live. And that brings us to our first huge shift. Consumption is moving into the home. And I'm not just talking about during lockdowns. This is a lasting, fundamental change in where we're choosing to spend our time and our money. In China, they actually have a word for this trend, 内需化. And it describes this massive shift toward at-home consumption. What's crazy is that even with restaurants and bars fully back in business, a lot of people are simply choosing to eat, drink, and entertain right inside their own 4 walls. And the data, well, it absolutely backs this up. I mean, look, sales of staples like flour and soy sauce are still way up long after the crisis part was over. But the real story here? Frozen hot pot. Sales are up nearly 66%. That's huge. It proves this isn't just about survival cooking. People are actively bringing high-quality, fun dining experiences into their homes. So when you spend that much more time at home, something else starts to shift. It's not just about being comfortable anymore. It's about curating your life. People are really investing in a more sophisticated, more intentional home life. They call this concept 精緻生活, which translates to refined living. And you can think of it as this blend of wellness, aesthetics, and smart tech. It's about using organic ingredients, getting those high-end appliances, and creating a home that isn't just comfortable but is praiseworthy. You know, something you'd actually be proud to show off. And this is the really interesting part. This isn't about blind luxury. Consumers are becoming incredibly smart and selective. They'll totally splurge on things where they feel it adds real value, like premium infant formula. But at the exact same time, they're cutting back on high-end versions of everyday stuff, like mineral water or edible oil, where they just don't see a big enough difference. It's very targeted spending. So if you're a brand trying to succeed in this new world, your product really needs to hit 3 key marks. It has to have beautiful, eye-catching design, it needs to use natural, organic ingredients, and it has to offer some kind of new experience, a unique taste, a cool texture, something memorable. Okay, so building right on top of that idea of refined living is an even bigger trend. Health has become the absolute priority. The whole mindset has shifted away from just avoiding sickness to actively pursuing long-term holistic well-being. And the data on what people are drinking is just crystal clear. You can see this dramatic pivot away from sugar. Sales of unsweetened drinks have absolutely soared, up 17%. At the same time, sales for both lightly sweetened and fully sugared drinks have just cratered. Health is now the #1 reason for their choice. And get this, for a fascinating little twist, sales of simple, plain old milk are up over 12%. It seems like as people are cutting back on sugary sodas and juices, they're going back to a traditional, trusted source of nutrition. It's a healthy comfort drink, and it is making a huge comeback. All right, Our final big shift is this really interesting combination of a hunger for new things and a renewed focus on what's digital and what's local. How people are discovering products now is just fundamentally different. So, while your traditional e-commerce sites are still dominant, the real story here is the absolute explosion of live commerce. I mean, it's shot up to become the second most popular way to shop online, leapfrogging social e-commerce entirely. This isn't just a fad, it's become a permanent part of the digital landscape. And this points to a fundamental change in why people are shopping online. Traditional e-commerce is utility, right? You need something, you search for it, you buy it. It's a transaction. But live commerce, that's entertainment. You tune in to watch a charismatic host, you discover new things just for fun, and the purchase itself is part of the enjoyment. Shopping has literally become a pastime. Now, this is all part of a much bigger trend called Nei Sun Huan, or internal circulation. With international travel off the table for so long, consumers started rediscovering the value and novelty in their own backyards. This means a new love for domestic brands, a boom in local travel like camping and day trips, and just finding joy much closer to home. So let's zoom all the way out. We've seen consumption move into the home, we've seen the rise of refined living, a new obsession with health, and a massive shift to digital and local experiences. So what does this all add up to? This right here, this is the profile of the post-pandemic consumer. They're more intentional, they value their home, their health, and new experiences. They're digitally native, and they're finding a new appreciation for what's local. And this isn't just a temporary reaction to a crisis. This is the new baseline for how people think and act. The changes we're seeing take root in China aren't happening in a vacuum. They are a blueprint for a new reality that's heading our way. So this isn't just about watching another market. It's about understanding the deep shifts that are coming for all of us. The new normal is coming. The only question is, are you ready for it?